Hello, I hope all is progressing well. Welcome to I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, reasonably, and responsibly. My name is Kevin Dufresne. Our first topic is about hiring teachers. When one thinks of an educational environment, one may regard the possibilities of learning in many ways. How an educational environment is as a space of employment is extremely important to recognize, just as much as it might be to think of an educational environment as a space where people go to grow. When hiring, word of mouth is a wonderful avenue, one of the most valuable forms of communication when it comes to information. And when an educational environment is able to observe non-district employees or district employees that may be of a temporary position, which is likely what individuals may engage with when considering contracts. So, when thinking about how an individual is within the educational environment, one may regard many factors to consider. How might individuals be observing employees? And when are individuals making space to observe employees in the work atmosphere, the educational atmosphere? These questions, these scenarios come with great opportunity for individuals that may be hiring and for individuals that may be working, though not of a capacity that is of a guarantee. When observing individuals at work, one may find certain situations that may connect with qualifications arising, though the qualifications in connection with the hiring may be a factor of which a district may not hold extreme weight on in light of experience and observation, as well as other feedback. The role of a teacher may operate as feedback of clients, of co-workers, when through an observational pathway of hiring. In reality, every educational environment is different, so the true connection of observance between administrators and teachers, other staff even, may be extremely distant if there is no proactive measure on any part to engage to a professional degree, even an informal degree, to build a relationship. Not so much so for obtaining a position or obtaining a new hire, though more so for building rapport, of understanding the personality, the work ethic, the mentality of the individual, the communication boundaries between the individuals in conversation, so as to regard what is. And if anything may happen in the future, then what is may prove to be valuable, especially in connection with other feedback that is closer, other feedback closer to the work, closer to the action, if one will. This is not a strange scenario in an educational environment. There are many levels. Like in any business, there are many levels. And these areas may not connect. These areas may have many distant factors that individuals will never touch unless having to be directly in the other role. The experiences differ greatly. These factors depend on the structure of an educational environment, though are important to acknowledge when assessing the differentiating factors between educational environments and how hiring may shift between educational environments on the basis of geographical structuring with school systems. Our next topic is with regard to technology, implementations of technology, and how the proceeding with a particular business entity brings about trouble for a superintendent. And the reality is the record of technological situations in connection with the superintendent, with the locations of which are in the article, particularly of California, show the gap of fulfillment that technology is not fulfilling. I'm not against advancing technology. I am well aware that there are differences between teaching methodologies and technological business pathways that may offer assist or educational avenues that might be operating with teaching methodologies that are effective, pedagogies that are of evidential supported backgrounds. The other reality is how learning is to be well-rounding, engaging individuals to be efficient, functional individuals outside of education. So when observing technology, one may be able to recognize that when an individual is using technology of a device sense, then individuals may be growing skills that align with the actual hardware, more so than particular software. Though acknowledgement of software use may be present, so individuals may have data reflecting growth through particular apps, through particular pathways. The guarantee of the app being fully responsible for boosting education, for assisting education, is going to need a lot more objective grounding to receive the support to say the individual is benefiting purely from the programming on the computer, whereas an educator may be in a room or in the educational environment bringing about great lessons, or a tutor may be in an individual's life bringing about more assistance, or an individual is being proactive in other ways, and that proactivity is bringing in the growth point, which is reflecting through activity in the educational environment. So there are many factors to consider when regarding how individuals are really growing when using data from technology of devices or programming of software as evidence for growth. Because if one plays a game in a certain way for a certain amount of time, the programming might reflect the effort through time, whether that be growth effort or effort that is reflecting that one is becoming familiar with pressing buttons a certain way or tapping the screen a certain way to bring about a certain result. Comes to inquiry. So what the article brings about in terms of assessing vendors, ensuring testing is happening appropriately so individuals are sure what will likely be happening, what feedback might offer for individuals before taking on technology, is extremely important, extremely valuable. The other dynamics of teaching are extremely valuable as well. When technology of information in general is extremely important, though technology of device usage is somewhat conflicting with evidence that already exists, which brings educational atmospheres to a space of contention. Because what happens with the business model present in education? What benefit will the technology of devices really bring students if students are adversely growing with the technology of devices? So the technology of device conversation is varying because one may argue for good devices of technology. One may argue for devices that are more spatially assisting, which are actually really good, especially in moderation. The type of technology within an educational environment is important to recognize, because not every educational environment needs the same type of device technology, and a lot of educational environments may benefit from finding entities that are able to support educational environments with appropriate technological devices. All right, it's time for some origami. So I have here a square sheet of paper. I'm just gonna fold the tip down. Just gotta fold a little square portion down here. All right, after you get this portion, what you're gonna do is just gonna fold in a bit, and fold in and leave a little flap. So you fold in a good enough flap. Alright, here you go. And afterward, I'm just gonna take this little bit of a flap over and plug it in underneath this initial flap. Afterward, we're going to fold this bottom flap up and just fold it in to that other flap. So now we have the flap insides, and we're going to just fold this top portion only over to the other side. We just press it, and afterward we're going to bend this fold. We're just going to fold it over just till the point reaches the other side. And then we'll do the same thing here, just till the point reaches the other side. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to open it up, and we have a cross point here. So we'll just open the inside here. Okay. And after we open the inside, just going to make sure that we have each of those pointy parts come out. Just gonna flap it down, and here we have ourselves a pouch. So you can put something inside of it if you like, some snacks, some candy, and enjoy. It's a pouch. All right. So I champion reading a physical book because when an individual reads physical books, the brain physically develops. There are a lot of health benefits, all in connection with the science of spatial development. The pornography wars. The text is very thorough in engaging the history of censorship, the history of pornography. The text engages with perceptions of pornography, perceptions of the body. Throughout the text are many evidentially supporting points in history and of research reflecting what may be affecting individuals through pornography. How do people feel about pornography? Whether considering the purity culture, the religious background, whether considering how individuals perceive pornography in many instances that some might just not consider to be pornographic. The text engages with violence, how individuals are experiencing life after exposure of pornography, and how pornography might contribute to the objectification of bodies and how relationships may form. The text is grappling with many details involving the relationships that individuals grow with themselves, with others, before and after experiencing pornography, and how the shift may be really impactful. The other portion of the conversation is the legal dimensions in connection with pornography, dimensions of the internet, how the individuals that are partaking in pornography within the industry may be approaching pornography. And the reality is that individuals may be able to find blame, may be able to seek many ways to look at pornography, and how individuals choose to culture is extremely important. I think integrating sex education is very important when it comes to culturing a family. And the reality is that health is a big conversation involving many parts that individuals need to engage with, need to have, even as individuals are going through many different life situations. There are individuals going through many circumstances that have health situations directly in connection with their lifestyles, with their every single day and these health situations are not receiving appropriate attention. Perhaps because of a lack of awareness, perhaps because of upbringing, perhaps many things might be reason for not approaching one's health in the best ways possible. Though there are many reasons to approach oneself in the best ways possible, and really approaching oneself in the best way possible involves approaching one's health with maximum appropriate attention. So one may observe social dynamics of censorship, pornography, however one wants to. And it's not that anyone might not find reason, it's just to make sure that individuals are aware of the bigger dimensions that connect with the dimension of which is receiving attention. If a conversation of pornography is coming up before a conversation of what a healthy relationship is, what consensual sex is, what being in a healthy sexual relationship is, what might affect one's well-being, one's health, what safe health parameters are, inclusive of the practice of safe sex, safe behavioral dimensions of relations. If all of those conversations are not happening before a conversation about pornography, before a conversation about dating, then one may need to address what is going on through the familial development. Otherwise, as peers grow through educational environments, for example, as peers are walking along the way in the streets or going away from home, learning experiences may happen of which individuals have no way of really understanding how to respond to because of not having any support with those details, especially if not aside from what might be available from whatever film or show or book or media the individual is engaging with that might be influential to whatever degree on that individual's decision making. If that individual's personality is under such influence of the capacity to look to those dimensions for guidance. If an individual is not thinking of these things for themselves. Thank you for joining. I don't know. We can talk about it. Onward and Upward, Kevin Dufresne.